Welcome to the class. So last class we have discussed about the failure theories. We have seen how the material fails. We discussed broadly about the two types of material. One was ductile material and another was brittle material. And we have seen how the ductile material fails, how the brittle material fails. So now, and then we have discussed 4 5 limits. When the stress crosses to that stress or strain crosses to that limit, we call it our structure got failed. So one thing I want to just recapitulate here is that in structural engineering we in structural engineering, when we call a structure got failed, it is not that when structure breaks into two parts that is the failure in structural engineering, but in structural engineering we call when the material property crosses the elastic limit. So when even if you release the load, structure won't come back to its original position. There will be permanent deformation. Then we'll call it structure got failed. Although structure may be in a single piece, but it crosses the yield limit. So that is we call it the failure of a structure. So, in the last slide, if you remember, we have discussed about the 3 4 limits. When the material crosses to each limit, our structure gets failed. So, today we'll discuss our first method, that is maximum principal stress theory, this portion. So, let's discuss about the theory first. So, it is very simple theory and very old theory is the maximum principal stress. So this diagram, if you remember last class we have discussed, so this is a failure of a brittle material. So suddenly a material gets failed here. So there won't be any elongation in the chalk, but it will simply fail after application, after it reaches to the certain value. So maximum principal stress theory is very simple. It talks about each material will have some limits. That is, it can take maximum certain number of certain principal stress, shear stress, and principal normal stress. For example, this chalk. So this chalk may take 100 MPa, although it may not take, but just for the sake of analysis, I just consider this chalk can take 100 MPa. So you are applying a force T, you are pushing, maybe you are pulling, tension force you are applying. So when the force is less than 100, maybe 50 MPa, then also your chalk won't collapse, and you will see that the length also won't be changing because this chalk is a brittle material. So you are gradually increasing the force T. So when the T reaches to near to 100, or maybe when it crosses the 100, then suddenly you see this is a failure will occur. So this 100 is basically the maximum principal stress this chalk can take. So when it crosses to this, it will be simply failed. So that is the very simple way maximum principal stress theory. What is that? Let in the complex three-dimensional system, you assume a body which has three-dimensional forces acting. In any real structure, there will be the 3 dimensions. So in 3 dimensions, sigma 1, sigma 2, and sigma 3. So these three types of stress, normal stresses, are actually acting on a body. So what we consider is sigma 1 and sigma 2 are tensile, whereas sigma 3 is compressive, and also sigma 1 is more than the sigma 2. So this is the assumption we made. Then sigma t is the tensile strength of the elastic limit in a simple tension. For example, this chalk I am talking. So this chalk's maximum tensile force it can take is sigma t star. So here I have considered example 100 MPa. So 100 MPa equal to basically sigma t star. So when you apply tension to this chalk, it can take maximum up to 100, or in this notation it will be sigma t is the strength of this material in a tension. Whereas now if we apply compression force to this chalk, then the limit may not be 100. In that case it may be 120 MPa, it may be more or maybe less depending on the material. So in tension, you will have one value, one maximum value. When it crosses that value, then only your structure will fail. But similarly for compression also, if you apply compression force, then you will get another value. So this material may take more compression load compared to tension load. So sigma c is the compressive force at a elastic limit in a simple compression, is the sigma c. So according to this theory, what will happen is until and unless sigma 1 means that principal stress in one direction, sigma 1 until and unless it is less than sigma t, your structure is stable. But when sigma 1 crosses the sigma t value for example here 100, and sigma 1 if it is more than 100, there is 105, then your structure will be failing. So whenever we apply any external force to a body, our body will generate internal force internally. You can't see when if we take a section, then only we can see the internal force. So whenever we apply a small force T in a body, internal force is automatically generated inside the body. So that internal force we call it stress and strain. In terms of stress, strain, bending moment, shear force, these are all actually internal forces. So the stress strain is actually generated inside the body. So when you apply more force, then more stress will be generated inside, more strain will be happening inside. So maximum principle theory is very simple. So when, as long as your stress is less than the sigma t is the strength of that material in tension, then your structure is safe. Similarly for compression also. So sigma 1 and sigma 2 we consider it is tension, and sigma 3 we consider it is compression. So same thing, sigma 3 is compression. When it is crosses the sigma c, then we'll call it structure got failed. So this is actually the oldest, one of the oldest failure theory, very simple failure theory. So sigma t is the permissible stress. So sigma t star is the actually failure will occur. So sigma t star is for example 100. So when your stress crosses 100, your material definitely will fail. But when you construct a structure, we should not think of our structure in a failure stage, right? We will design our structure such that whenever the maximum load also coming into the structure, our load should not cross the 100 MPa. So that's what is the design of the structure. So we have to design our structure such that in any condition, stress should not consider cross 100 MPa, for example, here. So, if you design for a structure which can take 100 MPa load and then you construct it, the structure is remains same, but in any maybe in a particular day some program or some function is there in the building. So maybe suddenly more number of people came into the structure, or maybe some flood happened, so all the nearby villagers, all the people just came into the top roof of the structure. So suddenly your structure load is increased. So in that case the strength may cross 100 MPa, when your structure will fail. So that's why whenever we design a structure, we won't design up to 100 MPa. We consider that our material won't take 100 even, although in reality material may take 100, but if you consider the reality whatever is load applied, then maybe in a very exceptional case your structures will make fail. So while designing only, we won't consider it is 100 MPa. We may consider it, the strength of this material is 70 MPa, although in reality the strength of the material is 100 MPa. But to become in a safer side, we consider this strength of this material as a 70 MPa. We won't consider 100 MPa. So if you consider 70 MPa, then you need more wider cross section of this material. So in the design part, your dimension may change. The beam's dimension may increase now because you underestimated the beam strength. So although beam strength in reality it may take 100 MPa, up to 100 MPa load, then only your beam will fail. But we considered, for safer side, we considered maybe 70. So that we reduced our strength, original strength. So that reduction is actually, we call it safety factor. We divide 100 by, if you divide 100 by 2, then you will be 50, right? 50 MPa. Then factor we considered here 2. So that's what. So permissible stress will be given by sigma t star minus safety factor. By safety factor. So permissible stress sigma t will be, for example, in this case it is 100, sigma t is 100, and safety factor we have considered, for example, 2. 2 means that 100 by 2 is 50. So we design our structure by considering that the material can take only 50 MPa. Although in reality this material may take 100 MPa, but because to become a safer side, we divided it by 2. We underestimated the strength. Although strength may be double, but for always, the uncertainty is there in everywhere. So that's why, so we cannot construct perfect structures. So always there will be some problem. It is some problem with the material, some problem with the skills of the labor. So all because of all these problematic things, our strength, whatever we design, we may not achieve in reality. So that's why we are underestimating the load. Although the strength of the material is 100 MPa, but we won't consider 100 MPa. We'll consider maybe 50 MPa. So when material reaches strength reaches to more than 50 MPa, then only our structure will fail. That is the assumption we'll make before designing. So that's why we divide sigma t by partial safety factor or the safety factor, and we'll get the permissible stress. So our design will take place with the sigma t. So let's solve a problem quickly using the principle, maximum principal stress. So what is the question? Question is the principal stress at a point in an elastic material is given. So principal stress is given to you, right? Sigma 1 is given to you, which is 100 Newton, 100. And 2, so sigma 1 is 100 given, and sigma 2 is also, so this is tension. So let's come imagine tension as a positive, so positive 100. Sigma 2 is given 80. This is also tension, so positive. And sigma 3 is given is a compression, so 3 direction 3 normal stress is acting. So it is compression means we just change it to -50, because first two was tension, so we consider tension as a positive, so this is negative. Now, if the stress at the elastic limit of a simple tension is 200 Newton per mm square, so the strength of that material, so if you draw the stress strain curve of that material, so maybe stress strain curve of steel similar like that. So the question says that tension member strength is 200, so elastic limit up to elastic, so this is the elastic zone, right? So in this zone, so this value is given 200. So when the material reaches to 200 Newton per mm square, so after the yielding will start, right? So in this range is the elastic limit. So that is our zone. So sigma T star is given to you. Sigma T star is the maximum strength, yielding strength is given 200. Then determine whether the failure of the material will occur according to the maximum principal stress theory. So now that is the stress acting on a body, and that much is the strength, that much is the capacity of the material. Now the question is whether your structure will fail or sustain. So sigma T is 200 and our force acting is 180, one direction 100, one direction 80. So obviously sigma T is very high, so material strength is very high compared to sigma 1 and sigma 2 and sigma 3 also. So obviously our material will be safe, I mean structure won't collapse. So that's what is mentioned to determine whether the failure will occur or not. So from the given stress, maximum principal stress is sigma 1 given is sigma 100 kilonewton per mm square, and sigma T is given 200. So obviously 200 is more, so strength is more, so sigma 1 is less than sigma T, so the failure won't occur as per the maximum principal stress theory. So now factor of safety calculation. So next part is if not, then we determine the factor of safety. So now factor of safety equation is what? So factor of safety is now sigma T. So we won't consider, although our material will give 200 Newton per mm square strength, but we'll consider it up to 100 only. So in that case, sigma T will be 200 is sigma T by partial safety factor. So partial safety factor we have to calculate. So sigma T is basically 100 and this one is 200. So partial safety factor here it comes as 2. So what is the meaning? Means our structure, our strength, material strength is 200 Newton per mm square. So yielding will happen here at 200 only. But we, while designing the permissible stress, while designing, we won't consider it the strength is 200. We'll consider it maybe at 100 only. So the safety factor we have used is 2 here, and we computed 2. Okay, so that's how actually you can use very simple theory. You can use the principal maximum principal stress theory to check whether the failure occurred in our structure or not. So in the next classes we'll discuss next methods is principal maximum principal strain method and so on. All the lectures, one lecture, one theory we will discuss, and we will try to solve one simple problem as well. Thank you.